What's the most you've seen somebody lose?
So there was a guy that ruined the new business program. It wasn't my guy, unfortunately. I would not be here. But this guy lost up and down the strip just south of 60 million. With us, he lost about 25. Yeah. And then they went in and put the cap on.
In one weekend?
Over the course of a week. Yeah, maybe 10 day in and out. Yeah.
And you say put the cap on, they're like, you're done.
They put the cap on the new business bonus. We're not giving you $5 million off of this guy.
Right.
So
right.
they capped every customer at like $250K. I don't remember it because I was already 1 foot out the door. I was like, once this bonus structure's gone, I'm done with Caesars. I'm over this. Yeah,
$60 million.
Yeah, up and down the strip. He lost it at Resorts, the Wynn, or on Bellagio, Resorts World, and then with Caesars.
On one trip.
Yeah.
Around what time was this? What year?
This was that was towards my last year there. So when was I there? 2019?
COVID-ish time?
2020. Yeah, right after COVID. 2021, 2022. Yeah.
And what's the most you've seen somebody win?
Well, I saw my buddy Sean beat me for $1 million live. I said,
Really?
yeah, well, the guy that I just told you, I watched him beat, 1.1. He beat me for that night.
Yes.
That's probably the most I've ever seen.
What about Bruno Mars? Did he have a $53 million debt somewhere?
I can't. That's an MGM property, but it's funny. My brother-in-law, he finally has come full circle. He's like, man, you were saying that 10 years ago that Bruno's gonna be singing and dancing for the rest of his life. I was like, man, there's no. Bruno's a big deal. To have him in a small, intimate ballroom every New Year's, he must owe somebody something. So, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah. But he's a big time player. So much so that Bruno's host only has Bruno as a customer. Most hosts have 400, 500 customers.
Incredible.
Yeah, this guy has one. Wow. One. Takes care of everything.
And so how did you end that part of your life? What happened?
Sure. So I had a customer at that time that was an early investor in Prize Picks, and I was looking to transit. We had gone through a new merger and acquisition through the Carano Group at Caesars, and things were just being run differently. Bonus structures were a lot different.
Yeah.
So I was just burnt out. I used to love hosting. I used to be there early, unbeknownst, just because I loved the energy of the casino and I loved I loved hosting.
Sure.
And it just changed, and I just fell out of love with it, and I felt like I was just being drugged there, I wanted to do something that was inspiring to me. So I had this customer, and he's like, hey man, they were early investors in 4 different sports companies. And he's like, I think Prize Picks won't need you at all. They're killing it, and he's like, but we'll send your resume in. And I sent it to Prize Picks and basically sold Prize Picks on doing something similar to what the casinos were doing to their customers and adopting that strategy to Prize Picks.
Yeah.
So from there, we became player development for them and basically just focusing on acquisitions, VIP retention, things of that nature.
I see.
Yeah.
So your job is to go out and find the big
Find,
players.
Retain, develop.
Yeah.
Collaborate, different collaborations and things like that.
And how does that conversation go? You're on a yacht or wherever you are.
Yeah, it's different every
you're
time,
at a party, you're at a Christmas party,
Sure.
you're with your wife or whatever, and a guy rolls over and whoever he is, he's worth $100 million.
Sure.
How does that conversation go?
I love things to be organic. I never want it to feel forced. So if some guys if the game's on in the background, I may just spark up because I can speak that language.
Right.
30 years of that. So I just kind of usually let those. Now a lot of times those conversations will be brokered. Hey, you got to meet my boy at Prize Picks. You're a big sports bettor. My boy over here is a big Prize. I just and so it's a natural. When it comes to sports betting, it's not a sell. You don't really have to. It's not like I'm like, here, buy my product. Or
Right.
People are like, hey man, help me out. I'm getting fucking crushed. So it's an easier segue. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
So
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything wild on the casino floor? Like anything insane?
Your probably definition of insane and mine are probably a little bit different based off of just being there for so long. But
what would average people think would be insane?
Yeah, let me think. I mean,
like the guy who robbed the casino in the motorcycle.
Oh, that's
helmet?
a good one. Yeah, I didn't see that one
Yeah.
live, but that's a good one.
It was a really good
What
one.
goes on in a casino? Like
I've seen a guy like guys will try to skip out on their markers, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
your marker,
that's a good
especially international, is not good. Like you can't deposit that check. So like you've seen a guy from trying to get back to Korea or Hong Kong or something like that, and he owes and he tries, I am gonna hit the bathroom real quick, and he hasn't signed his marker because that's like
Yeah.
a signed check essentially. So if
Yeah.
they don't sign that, it's really hard for them to follow through with collecting on that, and especially when it's international. So you'll see people kind of do all types of antics to not sign those markers. They either.
And then what happens if someone tries to leave? Do
they
call
stop
the
jet. They stop the jet on the runway.
So this guy, they held up his whole family on the runway because they were all loaded on the plane. This guy's supposed to be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's not going anywhere in that sense. But it's not always our jet. A lot of times they have their own private plane too. So you got to make sure he just doesn't get out the doors.
They call the FFA. Stop that jet from going. Type stuff.
And what if you owe $30 billion and you can't pay it?
It depends, It just
you go to jail.
Sometimes, usually they'll do collections, and each casino will work with you differently. The Wynn may not handle it the same way Caesars will. They may let you. Like I had this one customer, he owed us for a long time, but I knew he was good for it, and he would come play against his debt, and if he would win, I'd let him keep 20% of it. Yeah, and 80% went to his debt. Yeah, which was just really unorthodox. But at the end of the day, he was generating theoretical for my benchmark, so I'm like, this is a great thing because,
It's crazy that there's no, like you said, the gray area. There's no, it's, hey, we'll let you work it off and play. Here's 20%. Let them keep it. It's so interesting, that world, how they make it work to keep business.
People are going to win. But once they win, that's their new high water mark, right? Yeah. And that becomes now, nothing below that is acceptable, essentially. Yeah. So you're constantly chasing literally your last bet, and it's like the moment you place your next bet, the odds are against you on any of those things, so you're not likely to retain or stay at that. You got to probably put in a certain amount of coin dropping down here to try to get back up. And that's where you just see boom. And I've seen a guy, oh man, quick story, but the guy was up 500K and he's waiting at the cage, and he usually flies private. And he's literally closing out his line. He was so happy. He was stuck a couple 100,000. He gets out. He's waiting for his check for or he was going to get cash. I'm sorry. And he gets the cash. And he's like, oh, wait. I need a paper because I'm flying commercial. I need something for the airlines to support this amount of cash. Yes. So the cage is putting this paper together. Now the cage in high limit is here, right? So imagine the cage is there. The blackjack table is right behind here. Yeah. This guy sees a guy's bright shirt, and he's like, man, that's a nice shirt. He's like, I'd like to play. And he's just waiting for this paper. No! Again, none of this is fabricated, I promise you. No. He's like, I'll take... Now he's waiting for $500,000. So he's like, I'll take 8,000, I think he starts with. Nothing that could hurt him, right? Sure. This guy... He loses not only the 500 at the cage, but his full 500K line in that instance. Not immediately, because he chased that 8,000.
Because some guy said, "Hey, I like your shirt."
Yeah.
And he said,
he said that to somebody. He's like, "I like your shirt.
Table.
I'll play with this guy." I'm like,
no way.
I was like, Triple G, just wait. They're gonna have your. No, it's fine. 8,000, no. 8,000 turned into $1.8 million swing essentially. Because he lost that 8. Yeah. Kept chasing. And then, of course, it's on me, right? The motherfucking cage thing. I'm like, that was pretty strong.
Yeah. Did you get the player bonus?
No, he wasn't new business. He wasn't. He wasn't actually my customer. I was overseeing him for somebody else at the time, but I was kind of getting him out the door, and I was just like, this is, yeah. Literally waiting for a document.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
How much money do people have?
Yeah.
Yes. What are they fucking
doing? It's crazy. Dude, there's thousands of these stories. Like I was telling you, he's one of the most interesting people you're ever going to talk to. This whole world, it is like it's like a form of art and controversy and triumph. Like it's actually like a beautiful story. And the Las Vegas community is a very unique place. It's an amazing place to live. People are awesome and fun. Like it's a story that I think needs to be told. I'm telling him, dude, you better write a book.
Yeah.
Like this
is
trying
working on it.
This is
good.
0.01%.
Or just like a guy coming in, I'm sure you don't have to talk about this, but I'm sure they come in and ask for. I'm sure they come in and they ask. They ask for the moon, and they're spending that much and they expect it.